Is Africa merely considered the backyard of the West? The West has maintained dominion over all agreements Africa could potentially establish. Yet there's an unexpected revelation. It appears that African nations have been engaging in secret uranium agreements with Iran, despite the West imposing sanctions on Iran. This has been ongoing for more than decades. What's even more astonishing is that Africa has even sold uranium sourced from mines in Africa, which are owned by French entities. Surprisingly, the West has taken no action regarding this matter. They were completely unaware of it. In light of this, can the US still assert that Africa is merely their backyard? Let's find out. International relations are like a high-stakes game, where nations engage in delicate negotiations, form strategic alliances, and sometimes conduct covert operations. One of the most compelling and contentious issues in this arena is Iran's pursuit of nuclear capability. This video will take a deep dive into Iran's nuclear journey, marked by secret uranium purchases from Africa, significant military advancements, and a wide range of international reactions. So, how long has Africa been buying uranium from Iran secretly? To truly understand Iran's current nuclear ambitions, it's essential to look back at the history that has shaped its program over the decades. Iran's nuclear journey began in the 1950s under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Thanks to the US-backed Atoms for Peace program, Iran received its first nuclear reactor in 1957, setting the stage for what would become one of the world's most contentious nuclear programs. In the 1960s and 1970s, Iran's nuclear ambitions were driven by the Shah's vision of modernizing the country and securing its energy future. Iran signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT) in 1968, committing to not develop nuclear weapons while being allowed to pursue nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. With help from the United States and several European countries, Iran laid the groundwork for its nuclear infrastructure, including plans for multiple nuclear power plants. The 1979 Islamic Revolution, which toppled the Shah, dramatically changed the direction of Iran's nuclear program. The new regime, led by Ayatollah Khomeini, initially abandoned the nuclear pursuits, seeing them as incompatible with Islamic principles. However, the prolonged war with Iraq, 1980-1988, and the need for self-reliance in defense capabilities, including potential nuclear deterrence, led to a reassessment of this stance. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, Iran had quietly restarted its nuclear activities. With the help of foreign entities, including clandestine networks like Pakistan's AQ Khan network, Iran began acquiring critical technology and knowledge. This period marked a shift towards greater secrecy and the establishment of covert facilities aimed at enriching uranium and developing other nuclear capabilities. In 2002, an opposition group revealed Iran's secret nuclear facilities at Natanz and Iraq, triggering international alarm. These disclosures led to intense scrutiny by the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) and sparked a series of diplomatic confrontations. Iran's initial denials and subsequent admissions created a climate of mistrust and suspicion that continues to influence international perceptions today. The early 2000s saw a series of diplomatic efforts to address Iran's nuclear program. The European Union, led by the UK, France, and Germany, the EU3, engaged Iran in negotiations to halt its enrichment activities in exchange for economic incentives. These talks led to the Paris Agreement in 2004, where Iran agreed to temporarily suspend its enrichment activities. However, this agreement quickly fell apart, and by 2006, the UN Security Council had passed the first of several resolutions imposing sanctions on Iran. These sanctions targeted various sectors, including oil and gas, financial institutions, and military hardware, significantly impacting Iran's economy. Despite the mounting pressure, Iran continued to advance its nuclear program, enriching uranium to higher levels and expanding its nuclear facilities. The election of President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in 2005 marked a period of increased defiance. Ahmadinejad's inflammatory rhetoric and assertive stance on nuclear rights further strained relations with the West. During this time, Iran's nuclear advancements included the installation of more sophisticated centrifuges and the expansion of its enrichment capabilities. A breakthrough came in 2015 with the signing of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action (JCPOA), a landmark agreement between Iran and the P5+1. The JCPOA aimed to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities in exchange for lifting crippling economic sanctions. Under the terms of the agreement, Iran agreed to reduce its stockpile of enriched uranium, limit the number of centrifuges in operation, and allow extensive inspections by the IAEA. The JCPOA was hailed as a significant diplomatic achievement, temporarily easing fears of a nuclear-armed Iran. However, it provided Iran with financial resources without permanently dismantling its nuclear infrastructure. They also contended that the sunset clauses in the agreement would eventually allow Iran to resume its nuclear activities with fewer restrictions. The U.S. withdrawal from the JCPOA in 2018 under President Donald Trump marked a significant turning point. The reimposition of sanctions under the maximum pressure campaign aimed to force Iran into negotiating a more stringent deal. In response, Iran began incrementally violating the JCPOA's restrictions, escalating uranium enrichment levels, and expanding its nuclear activities beyond the limits set by the agreement. Today, Iran has made substantial progress in its nuclear program, enriching uranium up to 60%, just below weapons-grade levels. The IAEA has reported increased activity at Iran's nuclear facilities, including the installation of advanced centrifuges. These developments have reignited fears of Iran's potential to develop nuclear weapons, leading to renewed diplomatic efforts to bring Iran back into compliance. The upcoming expiration of the JCPOA in 2025 adds a sense of urgency. The international community faces a critical juncture: extend and potentially renegotiate the JCPOA, or prepare for a new era of uncertainty. The outcome will significantly influence regional security dynamics and the global non-proliferation regime. You must be thinking, where does Africa come into the scene? Wait for it, because what you are about to hear will shock you. It takes us back to the Great Prophet 17 military exercise, held on December 24, 2021, in southwest Iran, which was a significant demonstration of Iran's military prowess and strategic capabilities. The Great Prophet series of military exercises is named to reflect Iran's ideological commitment and its aspirations for military strength. The 17th iteration of this series involved the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC), showcasing a wide array of military hardware and strategic plans. The exercise spanned several days and included land, air, and naval components, reflecting the IRGC's multifaceted capabilities. A standout feature of Great Prophet 17 was the launch of a variety of missiles, including ballistic and cruise missiles. These launches demonstrated the significant advancements Iran has made in missile technology, particularly in terms of range, accuracy, and payload capacity. The exercise also featured the deployment of drones, which have become a crucial element of Iran's asymmetric warfare strategy. These drones are used for reconnaissance, surveillance, and combat operations, reflecting Iran's growing proficiency in unmanned aerial vehicle (UAV) technology. In addition to missile launches, the exercise included simulated attacks on mock enemy positions, defensive drills, and electronic warfare tactics. The inclusion of cyber warfare elements highlighted Iran's investment in modern warfare capabilities, highlighting its readiness to engage in a multifaceted conflict that goes beyond traditional military engagements. Domestically, Great Prophet 17 served multiple purposes. First, it was a demonstration of the IRGC's capabilities to the Iranian populace, aiming to bolster national pride and unity. In a country where military strength is often tied to national identity and resistance against foreign influence, such displays are crucial for maintaining internal cohesion and support for the government. Second, the exercise was a message to potential internal dissenters. By showcasing its advanced military capabilities, the IRGC aimed to deter any thoughts of rebellion or resistance within the country. This show of strength is particularly relevant in a context where economic hardships, exacerbated by international sanctions, have led to periodic unrest and protests. Externally, Great Prophet 17 was a strategic message to Iran's adversaries and rivals in the region and beyond. The missile launches and advanced military tactics were intended to signal Iran's readiness to defend its interests and deter any potential aggression. This exercise was particularly significant in the context of the ongoing tensions with the United States and its regional allies, including Israel and Saudi Arabia. The missile capabilities demonstrated during the exercise are of particular concern to Israel, which has repeatedly expressed alarm over Iran's missile program. The potential for these missiles to reach Israeli territory adds a critical dimension to the already tense relations between the two countries. By showcasing its missile prowess, Iran aimed to deter any preemptive strikes on its nuclear facilities or military assets. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The exercise sent a message to the Gulf states, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, which view Iran's military advancements with apprehension. The display of drone capabilities and missile technology was a reminder of Iran's ability to project power across the region, influencing the security calculus of these nations. The timing of Great Prophet 17 was also noteworthy. It coincided with heightened diplomatic efforts to revive the JCPOA, signaling Iran's leverage in the negotiations. By demonstrating its military capabilities, Iran sought to strengthen its bargaining position, indicating that it could escalate militarily if diplomatic efforts were not fruitful. The international reactions to Great Prophet 17 were mixed but largely characterized by concern and condemnation from Iran's adversaries. The United States reiterated its commitment to preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and highlighted the destabilizing nature of Iran's missile program. Israel, predictably, responded with heightened rhetoric and calls for increased international pressure on Iran. However, some countries, particularly those with a more neutral or aligned stance towards Iran, viewed the exercise as a legitimate demonstration of sovereign defense capabilities. Russia and China, for example, have maintained relatively positive relations with Iran and have often framed Iran's military developments as defensive measures in response to regional threats. Looking forward, Great Prophet 17 is likely to have several implications for future conflicts in the region. The advancements showcased during the exercise suggest that any potential military confrontation involving Iran will be complex and multifaceted, involving not only conventional forces, but also advanced missile systems, drones, and cyber warfare tactics. This complexity increases the risk of miscalculations and unintended escalations, making diplomatic efforts to mitigate tensions even more crucial. While many say Russia helped Iran in developing its nuclear power, Africa is also on the scene now. So, was it Africa that was providing Iran with uranium all along, behind America's back? Does this mean Africa has been preparing to betray America for so long? Let's first talk about the secret deals. And be prepared, because it is not just America that Africa has been betraying, there are others too. In the world of international diplomacy and nuclear proliferation, the details of Iran's secretive dealings for uranium highlight the lengths to which it will go to advance its nuclear ambitions. According to reports from Iran International, the Iranian government engaged in secret negotiations with Niger's junta government to purchase 300 tons of refined uranium, known as yellowcake. This deal was not a straightforward purchase, but rather a complex barter arrangement that involved the exchange of uranium for military hardware, including drones and surface-to-air missiles. Such transactions reveal Iran's resourcefulness in circumventing traditional financial and trade channels, which are often blocked due to international sanctions. The negotiations with Niger were conducted with a high level of secrecy, involving intermediaries and covert channels to avoid detection by international monitoring agencies. This clandestine approach is indicative of the lengths to which Iran is willing to go to ensure a steady supply of nuclear materials, despite the risks of international backlash and further sanctions. The uranium in question was reportedly sourced from the Arlit mine in Niger, a significant site owned by the French multinational company Orano, formerly Areva. The Arlit mine is one of the largest uranium mines in the world and has been a crucial supplier of uranium for decades. The involvement of this mine adds a layer of geopolitical complexity to the situation. France has historically been a strong advocate for non-proliferation and has played a key role in negotiating and enforcing international agreements aimed at preventing the spread of nuclear weapons. The revelation that uranium from a French-owned mine might end up in Iran's nuclear program presents a diplomatic conundrum. It raises questions about the effectiveness of international controls and the potential for illicit networks to exploit vulnerabilities in global supply chains. So, why has Niger had a secret deal with Iran from the uranium coming from a French-owned mine? In recent years, there has been a growing sentiment in Niger and across Africa to reduce dependency on France and other former colonial powers. Many African nations have sought to assert their sovereignty and build new alliances that respect their autonomy and support their development goals. This desire to break away from neo-colonial influences has led to the exploration of new partnerships with countries that are perceived to have more respect for African sovereignty. Iran, on the other hand, has actively sought to expand its influence in Africa. Unlike Western powers, Iran presents itself as a champion of the global South, advocating for the rights and sovereignty of developing nations. By engaging in secret deals with Niger for uranium, Iran aims to secure critical resources for its nuclear program while also fostering goodwill and strategic alliances in Africa. Niger's decision to engage in a secret uranium deal with Iran can be seen as part of a broader strategy to assert its sovereignty and reduce economic dependency on France. By diversifying its international partnerships and engaging with countries like Iran, Niger aims to gain greater control over its natural resources and ensure that the benefits of these resources contribute more directly to its development. The fact that the uranium in question comes from French-owned mines adds another layer of complexity. While these mines are operated by French companies, the resources ultimately belong to Niger. Engaging in secret deals for these resources can be interpreted as an act of reclaiming control over its assets, undermining the dominance of French companies in its critical sectors. Let's add more to your surprise. Niger is not the only African nation to sell uranium secretly. There are many other examples. In 2011, allegations surfaced that Zimbabwe had signed a secret deal to supply uranium to Iran. These claims stirred significant international concern due to Iran's contentious nuclear program. However, the Zimbabwean government firmly denied the allegations, and subsequent investigations revealed that the claims were baseless. The United States once also suspected that the Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC) might have been involved in illegal uranium mining. There were concerns that uranium-bearing ores were being sent to Iran through intermediaries in Tanzania. Although these suspicions added to the scrutiny of uranium flows in the region, conclusive evidence linking the DRC or Tanzania to illicit uranium shipments to Iran has not been publicly confirmed. Gabon also has a history as a significant uranium supplier, especially during the Cold War. However, there is no current evidence to suggest that Gabon has engaged in recent secret deals with Iran. Gabon's uranium production has been more transparent and primarily aligned with international regulations and oversight. Algeria possesses reasonably assured conventional resources of 26,000 tons of uranium for $260 per kilogram. In 2009, Algeria put exploration leases out for tender in the southern Tamanrasset province, highlighting the potential for increased uranium mining activity. While Algeria has substantial uranium resources, there have been no credible reports of secret deals with Iran. The Falea uranium deposit in southwestern Mali has also attracted interest, including from Iran. While exploration activities have been ongoing and Iran has shown interest, there have been no confirmed transactions or secret deals reported. Africa's interactions with Iran and the broader global community highlight its growing assertion of sovereignty and its critical role in international geopolitics. Africa is increasingly demonstrating its identity and independence on the global stage. This continent, rich in resources and strategic significance, is not content to merely follow directives from powerful nations like the United States. Instead, African nations are forging their paths, establishing alliances that respect their sovereignty and address their unique needs and aspirations. For example, African nations have often taken independent stances in international forums, advocating for policies that prioritize their development and interests. This includes pushing for fairer trade practices, better terms of aid and investment, and more significant roles in global decision-making bodies. By doing so, Africa is asserting that it will not be a passive player, but an active and vocal participant in global affairs. When nations like Iran face international sanctions, Africa has stepped up to engage diplomatically and economically. This engagement shows that African countries are willing to pursue their interests and partnerships, even when it involves navigating complex geopolitical landscapes marked by sanctions and international pressure. The significant role of African nations in global affairs challenges the perception held by some that these countries are poor and of little importance. In reality, Africa's resources and strategic position have made it an essential player in the international arena. Without Africa's cooperation and resources, it would be significantly more challenging for sanctioned nations to navigate and potentially circumvent international restrictions. African countries like Niger, Gabon, and Algeria possess vast mineral and energy resources that are crucial to global markets. These resources make African nations indispensable partners in various sectors, from energy to mining. The willingness of African nations to engage in secret deals challenges the long-standing status quo of international relations, where the influence of Western powers like the United States has often been predominant. By seeking out and establishing new partnerships, African countries are signaling their intention to diversify their alliances and reduce their dependence on any single external power. This diversification is a strategic move to ensure greater autonomy and leverage in international negotiations. Above all, these secret deals underscore Africa's assertion of its right to sovereignty. Every nation has the right to pursue policies and partnerships that it deems beneficial for its people and its future. By engaging in these deals, African countries are exercising this fundamental right. They are demonstrating that they will not be bound by the geopolitical agendas of others, but will instead chart their course based on their unique needs and aspirations. The decision to engage in secret deals with Iran also illustrates Africa's ability to navigate the complex web of global pressures and sanctions. It shows that African nations are capable of sophisticated diplomatic actions, finding ways to engage with global partners even in the face of significant international scrutiny and restrictions. This resilience and adaptability are crucial traits for maintaining sovereignty and advancing national interests in a challenging global landscape. Do you think the US should even try to stop Africa? What happens if it does? Can it face the consequences? Let us know in the comments section. Do you still think Africa is just a backyard of the US? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.